Hey guys, Tim from Red Goat Garage here, and today is the day I'm starting on rewiring my 57 Bel Air. So if you have a Tri-Five Chevy car, not a truck, this video is for you. I'm going to literally walk you through step by step from headlights to taillights on how to rewire one of these cars. They're all pretty similar, whether you have a two-door, four-door, Wagon, Nomad, whatever, post, no post, whatever. They're all about the same. So let me show you what I got, kind of what I'm going to be using and why I chose these things, and then we'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty of actually rewiring this thing. So first and foremost is the actual wiring harness, and I picked up this guy here. So this is a Painless Performance. The part number here is 20105. It's a 27 circuit Tri-Five Chevy harness. Now, if you've been following my channel, you've seen that I wired my dad's car, my dad's 55, with the same harness, and I've used my T-bucket to wire this, my Chevelle, and a couple other cars I've had. So I'm a big Painless fan. There's always a big debate on Painless or other wiring companies. And actually, like, I wired that 55 there, my 55, back in 2016, and I didn't use a Painless back then. I actually used their biggest competitor, and it worked fine too. So really, it's more of a preference thing. I can't really say one is better than the other as far as, I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a headlight here and you have a switch there, it's a piece of wire, right? So how could one necessarily be light years different than the other? There's a few things that I do like about Painless, which is why I continue to buy and use their products. But you know, make up your own decision there. So let me show you that. So I'll open this here in a second. The few things that you're going to need is one, a set of rollover crimpers. These ones I actually picked up from Painless, but I also have these pair, which are ratcheting ones, which are pretty slick. You'll need a set of wire strippers. So again, these ones I got from Painless. They do cut and strip. But here's another set that I have that I picked up from Harbor Freight a while ago. And for doing all your butt splices and everything, you're going to need these guys, or you don't have to, but I like these guys. These are ratcheting. This is tape, but this is this is like the cloth tape here. And then they have two different kinds of braid to wrap all your wires in. One's called their power braid, and this is the classic braid. I've used both. They both, you know, have the same properties and work great. The classic braid is much more of like a cloth looking appearance, like it's more old school kind of look, and the power braid is just more of a new, like, school look. But they both work the same. They both offer heat protection up to like 400 some odd degrees and everything. They both work the same way. They just have this memory built in, so you just lay your wire in there and then it folds back up over itself. And this is just a kit, so there's just different diameters and things in here, just kind of like a little bit of everything. It even includes some electrical tape, the mastic tape that sticks to itself, zip ties, pretty much anything and everything you'd need. This part number here is this guy here, 70970. So there's everything that I kind of picked up, have to rewire cars with. But let's get into this real quick, and I'm not going to bore you to death on this because we can show you this as we're installing it. This is one thing that I know everybody's going to just toss to the side, but by far the most important thing here. First, read the owner's manual for proper installation instructions. So, here's a little advertisement that'll come. They'll show you the power braid and the classic braid. So this is the classic braid we're talking about, and here's the power braid. You can see it's kind of like a more modern style. So a lot of people think that Painless just is universal stuff, and they absolutely have universal stuff. So they kind of have three different styles of wiring harness, or any company really does for that matter. I always say it this way. On one end of the spectrum is a complete universal harness. So it's like, kind of like your fuse block and a bunch of wires coming off of it. And you got to kind of figure out how to do that. That's what I used on the T-Bucket, and it actually worked out great because all the wires are labeled and it still comes with a great instruction manual. It was actually really easy. And the reason it's universal too for something like that is there's really not physical connectors on it. So like the headlights, they just have 3 wires that come off them. There's no connector for it like on a Bel Air or something like that. On the complete opposite end of that spectrum though is a completely pre-terminated plug and play style harness. Now Painless does make that for some applications, not the Tri-Fives, but if that's what you're looking for, like that's not what they make for these cars. The other thing too is that if the Painless stuff is all updated, so it includes extra circuitry, things like that. If you're looking for a factory OEM, this is how it rolled off the assembly line wiring harness. Painless is not going to be that company. There's other companies that have that, but they do make amazing harnesses, and most people don't seem to care to upgrade the harness because you can't really see that other than that, I guess. But I like it because it has all these extra upgrades, which we'll go over later. So again, in the middle or on one end of the spectrum is complete universal. The other end is completely pre-terminated. You're plugging and playing. In the middle there is kind of this harness, or they have a whole series of them called the Pro Series, which is what I wired my Chevelle with. So this one, it comes with all the terminals and connectors, and some of them are pre-terminated, but some of them you're terminating yourself. So like this is for all your factory gauges. It's already pre-terminated. This is, and all their wires, every single wire is labeled there. So you can see it says Painless number 975, blower motor low. So this has got to be obviously for your heater. And there's all these little sub harnesses that they include. And we'll go over those later. But I just want to show you what kind of comes in the box. So they even include, like I said, all these little connectors and everything, so you can hook everything up. Here's just like a universal little parts kit with different butt splices and fuses and whatnot. This is the bracket that actually mounts this fuse block specifically for Tri-Fives. And they actually, all 3 years, they mount in different spots, which is kind of funny. But I'll show you that. Like here's even for your tail lights. Here's the tail light little connectors. Here's the rubber boots where it goes through the body. I mean, everything you'd need. Let's see here. Oh, there's a little package of just heat shrink. Should be nice. They even include a thing of dielectric grease. How awesome. Here's this tubing for your tail lights. The wires go through. Here's all the alternator. It includes a MIDI fuse, which is that guy there. And I'll show you all this stuff in depth as we wire things up. Here's front, so this must be headlights and things like that. Here's a bunch of different grommets and holders and everything. And then what do we got here? Oh, here's the mounting bolts for the fuse block. Here's your courtesy lamp, little light holders, packaged more zip ties. So look at that. I mean, all that stuff is not even the wiring itself. That's just all the accessories that comes with this. So here's actually the charge wire for your alternator. So if I remember right, there's like 6 gauge charge wire. And so here's kind of the main part here. So this is the actual fuse block, 27 circuits. So there's ones on here like you might not even need, but you can repurpose them. So this car does not have air conditioning, but there's an AC heat. It does not have an electric choke, but there's a choke one. Fuel pump. It does not have an electric fuel pump, but it's there. This car right now, I am actually keeping as pretty much as stock as possible. So I don't care if it's original. I just want it to kind of be stock. So it's keeping the original 2-barrel carburetor, all that for now. So this is future-proofing the wiring harness. So eventually, I'm pretty sure someday I'm going to rip this engine out. It has the iron power glide in it. I'm going to rip that out, and I'm going to do an LS with like a 4L60 or something like that. And I'll probably do other things, maybe Dakota digital gauges, whatever. So this basically is just future-proofing all my wiring, so I don't have to redo that stuff later on. So some of these wires I'm just going to tuck away for a later date, and some of them I might just terminate and get rid of completely. We'll see. But again, all the wires are labeled here. Every 12 inches actually is where they're labeled. Now this looks a little intimidating, right? I mean, a ton of wires, all different colors and lengths, and you go like, how am I supposed to figure this out? So before I give you a little tip on that, this is what I think really, in my opinion, I mean, this stuff is nice, really separates Painless from other companies, is this. Now, some guys are really good with wiring, and they've been doing it for 4,700 years, and they can wire a car with one hand behind their back and blindfolded. I'm not that person. I can wire. I struggle with it a little bit because I just kind of sometimes have to think about where it's going, how it's going, you know, how it's working, so I know I can wire things up. This right here is, and this is why they say to read through the instruction manual. This actually gives you step-by-step instructions on every single wire in this car. So this is not a universal harness. This is specific for Tri-Fives. And see, so there's even some things that are like 57 only. And so there's something there with a dimmer switch that we have to look at. I mean, power windows and locks. So that's, I'll probably never put those in there, but those wires are probably heavy duty, and I can use those to power up something different. But let me show you a little bit of an example. So like here's the tail section. So look at this. So it'll actually be a brown wire. This is number 939. That's the fuel sending unit. So on the actual wire, it'll be a brown wire that says number 939, Painless fuel sending unit. So it's pretty easy to just read the wire and then, you know, look in here and say, okay, well, I know I'm looking for, you know, the left and reverse taillight wires. It's a pink wire that says number 949, and then you find it and go. The other thing that's great is, say 10 years from now you have some sort of electrical issue or something like that, and you need to figure out the wiring. You can literally just like unravel this stuff and read the wire right on there, and I think that's pretty awesome. So yeah, this is what I'm going to be reading tonight. Is I'm going to be going through this, reading through it. You can even see here, look at, so this shows you different ignition coil setups, and it doesn't just say like, you know, here's how the factory one is, but if you have an HEI, you got to figure that out. It actually shows you, you know, number 920, a pink coil ignition power. That's what's printed on the wire. And then this is our tachometer signal wire. So right now I have no tach, but you know, hey, someday that'd be nice to have. So I will probably wire up a tachometer wire and just have it under the dash somewhere for another day. If you have a ballast resistor, you know, all this stuff. So just tons and tons of different ways. Yeah, so here's like different alternators. It'll actually walk you through all the different, you know, GM alternators, how to wire those up properly. I'm just looking through here. I mean, this too, if you guys wanted to look, if you go on the website, which is, well, it's painlessperformance.com, but you type in that 20105, you can actually download this manual ahead of time, which is what I did, and kind of flip through it and everything. I said I already wired one Tri-Five with this harness, so I'm somewhat familiar, but it's been a couple years, so I want to refamiliarize myself with it. So yeah, look at it. It even shows you like if you're using aftermarket gauges, which is really cool. Oh yeah, here's your factory gauges. It comes with all the little harnesses for that, so you can wire this up. There's the gauges right there for a factory harness. So you can wire this up with, you know, Dakota Digital, Classic Instruments, your factory gauges, Autometer, whoever you're using, it'll show you how to wire it all up. So that's kind of the first step right now, is to read through this. I am not going to be sitting here and wiring this all in one day. It's a lot of work, and I have other things to do. So you'll see me wearing different clothes, and maybe my beard gets longer, more gray as we go on. But I will walk you through all of this. So if you're in the midst of or need to wire it, you can watch this video, and I'll hold your hand all the way through. We'll figure it out together. Pretty excited about it because the wiring in this thing is crusty. Like, everything's really hard. And I mean, here's the factory wiring that would go to the tail lights and all that. There's a few things that still actually work on the dash, like an ignition, and I don't even remember now. There's a couple wires that light up, but not much really works. How it runs, I don't even know, but there's enough to make it run. So I'm going to break this up into several videos. So we'll probably do like a starting, and this harness or this manual actually goes from headlight all the way to tail light. Now you don't have to wire it that way, but that's how they've written the book. So that's probably how I'm going to do. I'm just going to start at the headlights, work my way to the tail lights, and you know, at the end of it, everything should be good to go and done. Obviously, first step is kind of getting some of the old wiring out of there and mounting this up. I will say, and I'll go over this in the next video, but this guy, just to kind of also ease your mind, you can kind of see how there's like this harness here, and then there's this group of wires, and then there's this group. It's almost like 3 different groups. What they've done from the factory is they actually group the wires together. So there's going to be like a Ford, you know, under the hood headlights section. There's going to be a whole dash inside the car section, and then there'll be a tail section. So they've actually grouped it. So what I've done in the past is I mount this guy up where it needs to go, and then I just start kind of laying wires out, get it through the firewall, lay everything out, and then it's just a matter of sitting there connecting one after another. It's not bad at all. I mean, no pun intended, it's painless, really. I don't know how anybody else could make the wiring any easier unless it installed itself or I paid somebody to install it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this myself. So that's where we're at right now. So for right now, this is going to kind of be the intro video for this. I'm going to go sit down and read this guy, and hopefully tomorrow we can start on actually wiring this thing up. So stay tuned.